Hi, I'm Paul Beckwith. I'm with the University of Ottawa Laboratory for Paleoclimatology. I'm sitting at City Hall in Ottawa, just in front of the skating rink, and the city spent about $2.5 million to construct this skating rink, and it's supposed to be. It's funny because the mayor of Ottawa, I don't know, about a year or two ago, tweeted out. He said, "Hey, come down to the city of Ottawa. Come for a free skate." And I said, "A free skate?" I tweeted back, "A free skate? What do you mean a free skate? Didn't the rink cost $2.5 million, and the city of Ottawa taxpayers are funding that bill?" And he tweeted back. He said, "Oh, it's a public-private partnership. Most of the money was spent by corporations." Okay, yeah. So corporations, why are they spending money for City Hall? It's not out of the good nature. They have big, huge tax write-offs, and they can then go back to City Hall and say, "Well, wait a minute. We spent all this money on the rink in front of City Hall. We really want to build this building here. We want you to override this committee of adjustment or whatever." And it's like follow the money. But anyway, that's not the topic of my video here. By the way, this rink costs so much because there's cooling pipes underneath. So it can be 5 or 10 degrees above zero, and Celsius, and the ice. People are still skating, whereas everything else is thawing out and melting around the city. So it does extend it for quite a while. The usage of this of the skating rink. It makes a good backdrop for videos as well. So I'm talking about Cambridge media. I'm talking about YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all of these other social media platforms that you're on. I'm filming this on an iPhone. There's an IP address associated with this iPhone whenever I'm connected to the web. Whenever I go into an app like Facebook or Twitter or any of these apps, those apps extract my IP address. I mean, I go into my account. They know who I am, of course. They extract the IP address. Anything in the hits that I tweet or send out or whatever, there's a record of that, every single keystroke. And this data all goes into a repository. And myself in Canada, if you're in the U.S. or wherever you are. There's a database kept on all of this stuff at these social media platforms like Twitter, etc. They're all keeping records of this, and now what do we do with this data? Well, first of all, you can mine the data and find out everything you want to know about people, about individuals. But when you aggregate the data for like a town or a city or something, you can find out how there's variation from place to place. So if you're a politician like Trump and you've got Cambridge Analytica working for you, you're going to go off and give a speaking tour, and you're going to go to city A and B and C and talk in a rural area D and whatever. What you do is you data mine all of the social media platforms on those particular regions where you're going, and you find out, you aggregate things and you prioritize things, and you find out the issues that people are most concerned with. And then with that data, with that information, you can actually hit each of those key points in your speech. Now, stuff that ideologies or stuff that you want, if it's an election, you're just trying to win the election, but you're also trying to sway people in certain directions ideologically. You want to change their minds on things. So how do you change people's minds? It's not through facts and information. It's through their hearts. The hearts and minds. Hearts comes first all the time. Hearts and emotions, right? So what you do is you put all of the stuff in sentences that people are going to agree with, and you interlace them with stuff that is more controversial, with stuff that people don't even agree with, but you want to sway them over. It's like the ultimate in propaganda, okay? It used to be called, the military has used this in the past. I mean, many people have used it. I mean, it's known as PSYOP, psychological operations. There's whole groups of people that are now using these social media platforms to mine and extract data and sway people's views on things, sway elections, sway people's views on climate change, get people to believe in these crazy theories or that have no basis in reality, undermine science, undermine democracy. The data. So the data just gets out there to whoever. Whoever wants to pay for it, they're getting it. And this is clearly true. It can be under many different guises, okay? So Facebook agreed to release their data on clicks and likes of people because they allowed an app. All of these different apps that then go on the devices that people have. If they're not, if the information is not, the information's all collected and it's sold to people and it's used. And then it's data mined, and people can get all kinds. They can just sway everything that is going on. And these are generally bad actors that are doing this. People that want to undercut and undermine things. And then when you get states involved and countries, not just wealthy people wanting to support, wanting to game an election or get the public onto their views. Basically, what kind of we've created a beast, basically. Okay, we've created, and people are not sure what to do about it now because it's undercutting our society. It's making us implode from within, people are starting to become aware of it with the Cambridge Analytica, Facebook stuff, but it's been ongoing for long periods of time. So, in the UK, for example, MPs are starting to look at the Brexit vote because, this company had their tentacles in just about every election that people would be, one side or the other, or every election or every vote. So there was a huge amount of work done by the Leave side with Cambridge Analytica. Okay, so this was a case of go through all the feeds of people in the UK. They're about to have a vote on Brexit. Find out what people, find out all of the people. It's all the people. There's always going to be people polarized that say absolutely not, Brexit is crazy, versus people that say, yeah, we absolutely have to get out of the EU. We need Brexit for sure. Those people are harder to sway, but there's always, so call it like a third in one camp, a third in another camp, and the other third are sitting on the fence. They're the undecided people. So you can extract the information from the data on, the 5,000 data points on Facebook or, Twitter or Instagram. If you can get access to that data on those people that are sitting on the fence, then you can sway those people. You can put a whole bunch, you can basically tweet articles or links to things that are mostly in agreement with what a group of these people, like let's say a subset of this third of people that are sitting on the fence, you can put them into categories on their top things that are most important to them as you determine by data mining. And then you can say, okay, so this subset of the third, these issue A, B, C are most important to them. So you do a post where you agree with A, B, and C that they'll agree with, and then you bring up Brexit and say, yeah, we've got to leave because it just doesn't make sense. So people say, they read something, I agree with this, I agree with this, I agree with this. Well, we got to leave Brexit. Well, the whole article seems to make sense. So yeah, so you inch that person towards the leave side. And you do this like it just depends on how much money and how much time you have with the data. All the information is in the data. Patterns are emerging from the data. So you can really sway people. So you could imagine the power that people have that are doing the programming, their bosses that want to sway something. I mean, these people have power beyond belief. And they can sway and they can move society in directions, and there's no accountability for these people, So how do we stop this? We have to do something completely different with the data, and not only that, I mean, there's no way that people just won't believe that elections are fair without paper voting. Okay, when you go to a voting booth, it doesn't matter what you're voting for, what issue you're voting for. You need to actually write on a piece of paper, put it in the box, have people from all different sides, all different parties, counting the votes, recounting them, tabulating them, right? Reconfirming, all these checks and balances. People just do not believe an electronic ballot. Why should they? Why should they? It doesn't make any sense. It's just too easy to hijack these processes. So the Cambridge Analytica, a number of people have said, yeah, they've been in the news, they've been out. What's new now? Well, now is proof. Okay, lots of people, including myself, have suspected that this hacking has been going on. Like I say, I do a video, a scientific video on climate. I get a couple 1,000 views or 5,000 views on YouTube, and somebody does a crazy ass cockamamie full of ridiculous, idiotic things, whether it be global grand solar minimum is causing all the extreme weather events, or whether it be, look at those chemtrails in the sky behind you. I mean, people are friggin' scared of clouds now. Look at the clouds. I mean, it's absurd. We're not engineering. It's just, people are believing this stuff, okay? And, our society is just going to fall. I mean, there's no way we can address things like climate or any other of the important issues. We've become a society of smart phones, and all the information is there, but it's being gamed and hijacked. So people, they're busy. We seem to be busier and busier and have less time to check things, and there has been so much misinformation, psyops going on, propaganda going on, that a lot of people just they don't believe anything that they see coming across their social media or in stuff that they read. So they become completely skeptical of all institutions and organizations that hold society together. So this is where we're at. And as far as the climate change angle is concerned, we have abrupt climate change going on. I mean, the science is clear. The observations on the ground are clear. We're getting huge increases in extremes in weather events, and it's accelerating, and it's going to hit the global food supply, and countries are, there's huge geopolitical conflicts, and yet people are, the powers that be that don't want the truth recognized on the danger of continuing to pump fossil fuels emissions into our atmosphere are that, the sun's changing, we can't do anything about it. The sun changes, or there's nefarious governments, deep states or whatever, that are modifying the clouds and the weather and causing all these extreme weather events. And it's just, people don't believe experts anymore. So I don't have all the solutions, but, we need to talk about all of these things. We need to change the way society does things, and we can't randomly introduce technologies and hope that everything is going to, sort itself out, because, how many times when you hear about driverless cars, I mean, do you hear about how many jobs are going to be lost? Do you hear about, are people going to... I mean, how many people are killed by cars in the U.S.? It's about 30,000 a year, about 3,000 a year in Canada. So, will driverless cars? Yes, they could they? If they're done properly, they can greatly reduce those numbers. But are people going to expect? Let's say the fatalities from driverless cars drops from 30,000 in the U.S. to 3,000 a year. Are people going to accept that 3,000 people a year are killed by robots? You could be walking across the street and stuff. They're never going to get that number down to zero. I mean, the thing is we're just too shallow on stuff, right? We're too superficial. We're too shallow. We don't actually put deep thought and wisdom into things and actually try to figure out what will be best for society. The technologies are just introduced, and then stuff happens, and we suffer the consequences. And if we continue to go about doing this, and I don't see a very bright future, but we don't have to, we can start being smarter about things